It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
I hope everybody had a great weekend. Yes, it is showtime. It's a Monday. It's a brand new day. It's a brand new week. I had a good weekend, well, until I heard saw some disturbing news. It is time for the Geno Jones Daily Variety Show. I am live right here on my YouTube channel, Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 in Chicago, 3:30 out in Los Angeles. Monday through Friday. Glad to be back with you. However, I am disturbed, I'm angry, I'm heartbroken. I'm just exhausted having to convey and share these stories and talk about these stories about interactions between black men, unarmed black men and police officers that wind up almost deadly, or in one case, another case, a dead 20-year-old young man just outside of all places, now of all places, for another unarmed black man, even younger than George Floyd, a younger black man to be shot and killed by a police officer. You would think would be in the metropolitan Minneapolis, Minnesota area. But yes, I'll tell you just in about 60 seconds or so, maybe a minute or two, about a 20-year-old unarmed black man that was shot and killed in a suburb of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Yesterday. But first, I'd heard the story late last week, and I just didn't want to watch the video because I'm so exhausted, just like I'm sure there's so many of you watching me right now that's so exhausted, that's so traumatized, triggered. I mean, you see these videos of black people being damn near killed or shot or brutalized, unarmed black people, that it's stressful. I mean, it's like we as black Americans are suffering from like post-traumatic stress disorder. It's like being in the Iraq War or Vietnam. Speaking of military and the war, so this video I'm talking about, it's an unarmed United States Army lieutenant, I should say. So an unarmed U.S. Army lieutenant named Karen. He's an Afro-Latino brother, Karen Nazario. He was stopped by police in Windsor, Virginia, some little podunk town in Virginia called Windsor, Virginia. This happened in last December of 2020. So Lieutenant Nazario was driving home in his uniform, in his brand new Tahoe. Apparently he just purchased it. As a matter of fact, he had the temporary plates, the tag with the temporary plates and tag that you get when you go to the dealer and you buy a brand new car and they put it in your window because they have to order your plates. He was driving home in uniform. He was pulled over. He was held at gunpoint by two police officers. He was pepper sprayed by one officer. Now, the same officer who pepper sprayed Lieutenant Nazario and pointed a gun at him, when Lieutenant Nazario said, because he didn't want to get out of the car, he parked, they told him, put your hands out the window. He's got both hands out the window. First of all, apparently he must have drove, I don't know if it was maybe not a mile, but when the police threw the Mars lights on him, it was a very dark area. It was unlit. It was apparently no cars. This a little dark country road. And Lieutenant Nazario did what I would recommend anyone do if you find yourself in a situation and the police pull up behind you, but you are in a very, on a dark road with no lights. If you can, do what Lieutenant Nazario did. He slowed down, he turned on his hazard lights, and he very slowly proceeded until he got to an area that was well lit with security cameras. Even though he had his own camera, he had his cell phone camera running, he was recording, but he pulled into a gas station. Very smart. You find yourself in that situation, I highly recommend take that playbook. Drive very slowly. Put your hazard lights on like there's something wrong with the car until you can get to a well-lit area, be it a gas station, a rest stop, anywhere. Especially make sure that you can find a well-lit area, hopefully where there are businesses with security cameras. All that helps because these security cameras record everything. So when Lieutenant Nazario pulls into the gas station, the police jump out with their guns drawn. Get out of the car. He's like, what did I do? He just pulled over. 2 police officers out, one yelling, just really, just this anger and rage. He's like, dude, relax. He's got his, I'm talking about the lieutenant now, the Army lieutenant in uniform, got his arms out the window. Relax, relax, relax. So this one officer is yelling at him, get out of the car, don't move. So he's getting these conflicting commands. Or put your hands out. Put your hands where we can see them. Get out the car. Put your hands out where we don't keep your hands where we can see them. Take your seatbelt off. Well, damn it, make up my mind. If you want me to take off my seatbelt and get out the car, I've got to bring my hands in. Thank God that Lieutenant Nazario did not do that. He was smart. He's like, no, because I've got 2 police officers, one like a madman yelling at me. I am not moving my hand because if you can't see my hands, that is an excuse for you to blow my brains out. And I am not. You already yelling at me. You got guns pulled on me. For what? You're not telling me why you're pulling me over and why you got your guns drawn, pointed at me with your finger on the trigger? So, Lieutenant Nazario, you did the right thing. Keep your hand. Listen, my hands are right here. I am not moving. Now, if you're going to shoot me, you're going to shoot me with my hands out, and it's going to be recorded on all these security cameras and your body camera and my cell phone camera. I'm not moving my hands. I am not getting out of this truck. As a matter of fact, Lieutenant Nazario said, I'm afraid to get out of the truck. And the officer who was yelling at him, the first officer closest to him with his gun pointed at him, you know what he said? You should be afraid. And then he says something to the effect, I guess, is this like police officer slang? He said, all right, you're gonna ride the lightning. Right, I'm gonna what? I'm gonna ride the lightning? What, I'm gonna be executed now? Ride the lightning? Some people say it's a reference to like getting the death chair. I mean, the electric chair. I'm going to be executed by lightning, by electricity. For what? For what? You still haven't told me why that you've stopped me and you got your guns drawn on me. Nobody's told me anything. You yelling and screaming and cussing, and then this officer who said you're going to ride the lightning and you should be afraid proved why Lieutenant Nazario should have been afraid, because he was pepper sprayed, I believe, I saw at least 3, if not 3 or 4 shots, well, I shouldn't say squirts of pepper spray, to the point that where Lieutenant Nazario said, I can't breathe. You could hear him trying to breathe. His pepper spray is running down his face and his eyes are burning because he wouldn't get out of the car, because he said, I'm afraid to get shot and killed. My hands are here. Apparently, that police officer, and I use that term loosely, police officer, his name is Joe Gutierrez. Well, Joe Gutierrez is no longer with the Windsor, Virginia Police Department. He was just fired. Really, This just happened within the last, I'd say, 48 hours, 72 hours, something like that, 42 hours, 48 hours, I should say. So somewhere between the last 48 to 72 hours. Now this incident happened in December. Lieutenant Karan Nazario, yes, U.S. Army Lieutenant Karan Nazario is suing the Windsor, Virginia Police Department. So now the citizens of Windsor, Virginia, this little small town, it's going to be out a whole lot of money. The taxpayers, it had nothing to do with this. Their tax dollars, their hard-earned money that they pay taxes with has to go to pay Lieutenant Karan Nazario because former Officer Joe Gutierrez, for whatever reason, just didn't see the humanity in this black man, who's actually Afro-Latino. So you had an Afro-Latino that was profiled and brutalized by a white Hispanic. Wow, man. The disease of white supremacy and white nationalism, it affects us all. It even makes certain Latinos, even some black people, look at other black people through the prism of white nationalism and racism and hatred and bigotry. And that was example A of one Hispanic who looks white saw another Hispanic that he didn't know was Hispanic, that looks and is black, an Afro-Latino. And he didn't see the Hispanic in him. He just saw his blackness and reacted in this violent, bigoted, racist, profiling way. Yes, he did, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, how do you know he was racist? By his way he behaved. Do you think he would have pulled over a white woman in her 30s in the car with her dog? Lieutenant Nazario had his dog in the back seat. Do you think that those two officers, when her car pulled over, do you think they would have pulled their gun out on her and pepper sprayed her and told her that she should be afraid and told her that she was going to ride the lightning? No, it would not have happened. And you know it, and I know it. There's no way in hell that former Officer Joe Gutierrez would have treated a white woman like that, or another white man who wasn't being belligerent. An Army Lieutenant Nazario in uniform. Do you think he would have treated a white soldier in uniform like he treated Army Lieutenant Nazario? You know the answer. No, he would not have. Now, if that wasn't enough, yesterday, in the suburb of Minneapolis, now, of course, where the Derek Chauvin trial of killing George Floyd is going on. As a matter of fact, today, I believe Felonious Floyd, one of George Floyd's brothers, testified today and talked about his big brother. Talked about how his big brother taught him how to play basketball, and taught him how to catch football. And he joked about, I didn't think my brother could throw because he would never throw it directly at me. He would throw it so I'd have to go and get it. I'd have to go and catch it. And then so Felonious said, man, you know, I see why you're playing tight end, because you can't throw. He said, no, I can throw. But if I throw it directly to you, you won't understand how to go and attack the ball. So basically, he taught him how to be a better receiver, if he was going to be a receiver or running back. That's a great way. I've taught people that way. I played center field when I played baseball. So I had to learn, you had to go get the ball. When you play basketball, you go for a rebound. You have to attack the ball. I played semi-pro football, and that was my approach. That I learned from a young age, you got to go and get the ball, because very rarely is the ball going to come to where you don't have to move. You've got to move to the ball. You have to go to where the ball is and meet the ball where it's going. So he would throw it where he'd have to reach over here, he'd have to reach over here, he'd have to run. Yes, because that's what's really going to happen. So he just told this very personal story about his big brother teaching him that and teaching him how to treat his mom. So while the city of Minneapolis and the state of Minnesota and the metropolitan area of Minneapolis is under this sense of heightened tension and anxiety and fear and anger and frustration that justice is not going to be given to George Floyd, how is it that another police officer in suburban Minneapolis, suburb called Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. So 20-year-old Dante Wright was shot and killed by a police officer, a white female police officer in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. Like I said, a suburb of Minneapolis. Now, this unarmed black man, apparently, according to CNN, he had expired registration. There were some reports from, I guess, witnesses, bystanders, eyewitnesses, that the police pulled him over because apparently he had an air freshener that was obstructing his rearview mirror inside the car. So you pull him over because there's an air freshener inside the car that's obstructing the view of the rearview mirror, you claim? When people have all kind of passes and dice and all kind of things hanging from their rearview mirror, parking passes. Well, even if his registration was expired, how did that interaction lead to you shooting him in his side? So once Dante Wright was shot in his side, he was in his car, he got shot in his side, and he drove off several blocks until his car crashed, and he was pronounced dead on the scene. So he was outside of the car. They get him out of the car, and you gonna handcuff him for what? For an expired registration? Air freshener hanging from his rearview mirror? So they get him out of the car. So he gets back in the car. And the officer, this white female officer, you can hear her on the body cameras yelling, "Taser, taser, taser." Now, according to all the law enforcement experts, apparently, and that saw the body cam, the taser is on her left. The gun is on the right. They tell you police officers are to put their firearm on the side of their strong hand, and the taser will go on the opposite side. So apparently this officer, because she used her right hand, she's right-handed, somehow, according to the police chief who held a news conference, she was a senior officer, and she can't differentiate, she doesn't realize the difference between, you don't know that I got my taser on my left, and your instinct, you grab the gun and you shoot him in his side, and you're like, oh, I shot him. Oh, I shot him? You are a senior officer? What kind of training? Come on, man. Oh, my God. Let me say this. The thing for today's show, when it comes to police brutality, is either taught or condoned. That's a phrase that's used in sports a lot. College football, basketball, pro basketball, college basketball, pro football, or college football. really, I heard that term used more, especially in football, the football culture, be it college football or the NFL. When there's bad behavior, undisciplined teams, a lot of penalties, just players and things just on the field or off the field that are just not right, it's either taught or condoned. And when it comes to police brutality, especially with unarmed black men, for decades, it's either been taught or condoned. And probably in some cases, taught and condoned when it comes to black people, especially unarmed black people. How do we stop this? Get rid of qualified immunity is one good stop. If you can't appeal, if somehow all the money that you spend, all the taxpayer money that's spent on police training and diversity training and de-escalation, you can't train humanity, and you can't train someone who has an inherent racist view of a black person or a brown person. There's no amount of training in the world that can unlearn that. You can't train and teach humanity. If police officers don't have a sense of empathy and compassion and humanity for people who do not look like them, you can do all the teaching. They can go to all the diversity training and classes and exercises and psychiatrists and look at all the videos they want. You can't train compassion, empathy, and humanity. So, if I can't appeal to your humanity and your sense of common decency, I can go digging in your pockets. Because the one way to get virtually anyone's attention, whether they have an inch, an atom, a fraction of compassion, empathy, or humanity, or none at all, you can get their attention when you dig in their pockets. Why should taxpayers continue to have to pay millions, and over the course of several decades, billions of dollars? The city of Chicago, since the year 2000, has paid nearly $1 billion in wrongful death lawsuits. That means the taxpayers of the city, can you imagine what that money could have been used for? If instead of having the taxpayers of the city of Chicago, I'm just using Chicago as an example, it's the same for cities all over America. Here in Charleston, South Carolina, the family of Walter Scott, I believe, was paid somewhere near $10 million, somewhere in that area. I know I'm off a little bit, but it's close to it, including myself. So that means I pay taxes here in the city of North Charleston, South Carolina. So me and my family, our tax dollars went to the family of Walter Scott, which I don't have a problem for, but that money went to his family because of Michael Slager, a former police officer. So why should my tax dollars be used to pay for a mistake, for a crime, for the murder of an unarmed black man? No. Make the person that killed Walter Scott. Dig in his pockets. Dig in his pensions. Get rid. How do you do that? You get rid of qualified immunity. Qualified immunity is a fancy term that basically says police officers and law enforcement officers cannot be directly sued for police misconduct, for wrongful death, for the murder of unarmed anybody, but specifically unarmed black men and women. Unarmed black people have been murdered at disproportionately higher rates than those who have been shot and killed by, those white people who have been shot and killed by police officers. This is not even close. Another reason, President Biden, the Democrats in the Senate and the House of Representatives on the United States Capitol got to get rid of qualified immunity. If you really, really want to slow this thing down, I don't know if it will ever end it, but it'll slow it down. When somebody knows that, oh, you know what, I got 100, or I've been on the force for 25 years or 30 years or 20 years, and I probably got a couple $100,000 or several $100,000 in pension money coming, and if I pull this trigger, and if I kill this unarmed black person, that pension is gone. Oh, I guarantee you they'll put that gun back in their holster real quick, real quick. I can't appeal to your humanity. I can't appeal to your humanity. I can't appeal to your sense of compassion, empathy, or humanity, but I can dig in your pockets. And if I can dig in your pockets, I will get your attention. And I guarantee you, you will begin to see me and treat me as a human being. Not because of some sense of morality, because out of a sense of selfishness, that you don't want to lose any money. That's fine. Whatever it takes to save a person's life, whatever it takes. So another unarmed 20-year-old young man won't get shot and killed by apparently a petrified and scared police officer. This is a white female officer. So for any police officer, white, female, male, black, male, female, Hispanic, fired police officer Joe Gutierrez, if you were that scary of people of color, if just the sight of my body and my complexion puts that type of fear in you when you've got a gun and a badge, you don't need to have that gun and a badge. You are not responsible enough. You don't have the courage. You don't have the right courage. It's a dangerous job. But how is it the sight of my black body somehow generates this instant sense of fear? I read a story. There's a lawmaker in Kansas, the state of Kansas. I saw this, as a matter of fact, preparing for the show. So you had a lawmaker, this older white man, a Kansas law. I guess he's somewhere, a state lawmaker in the state of Kansas. He's driving, speeding, going down the wrong way of a highway, speeding, drunk. The police officers pull him over. They don't shoot him in his side. And he calls the police officers donut boy. And he lived to tell about it. And they weren't threatened for their life. So how is it that when you see a white body that you're not threatened, but when you see a black body, you are? There's something wrong deep in the recesses of your brain. And you are not equipped. You are not equipped to patrol my neighborhood because you are not going to serve and protect me and my family. You're going to terrorize me. Now, look, I get it. I understand that really local law enforcement, that these local police departments, if you understand the history of how local policing came to be in America, local policing came to be not to serve and protect black people, but to serve and protect white people and protect white people from black people. Local police departments were created to somehow go after and retrieve runaway slaves. Now that's a fact. Now you could just think I'm making that up. Go do your own homework. Google it. It's easy to find. You could find this information. It's not a secret. That is the origin of why local, quote unquote, law enforcement and police departments were created. to capture and oppress black people. It was never created to serve and protect black people. So they never got it right because it wasn't created. Police departments weren't created to serve and protect black people. So we got to change that. And one way to change it is to get rid of qualified immunity. Like I said, if I can't appeal to your sense of morality and humanity, I'll go dig in your pockets. I can get your attention that way. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you. God, most of all, thank you for letting me do the Geno Show live, Monday through Friday, right here at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Tomorrow, I get my second COVID-19 vaccine. I get my second Pfizer COVID-19 shot. I'm going to tell you all about it. My guest will be Dr. Damon Arnold. He's been on the show 3 times. He's one of the top public health and infectious disease experts here in America. I call him the Black Dr. Fauci. Maybe I should call Dr. Fauci the white Dr. Arnold. He will be here to talk about all the COVID-19 vaccines and why. And he's gonna address one question, because I had this conversation actually Sunday with a young man that does work for me. Young man in his late 20s, I think, maybe near 30. Said, you've had some hesitancy about getting the vaccine because he said, they made it too fast. Well, no, they didn't make it fast, actually, according to Dr. Arnold. As a matter of fact, the technology that created the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine, this mRNA technology, it's been around for 20 years. Dr. Arnold will talk about that again tomorrow night. I'll let you know what getting my second COVID-19 vaccine, how it went. You'll see me, so you'll see that I'm not growing 2 or 3 heads out of the side of my neck like Medusa. The first shot I got, I came and did the show, felt great, had a great show. So that'll be tomorrow's show. Shout out to Bruce Gage, the official wardrobe stylist and consultant for the Geno Jones Show. Check him out on Instagram, on IG. Bruce Gage, G-A-G-E. Bruce Gage. Also, check him out, flyballthestore.com. Flyballthestore.com. And shout out to Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check him out also on IG, on Instagram, Kelby Cuttin, Kelbecuttin. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let me say it again. Please like, share, and subscribe, and let everybody that you know, all your friends, family, relatives, co-workers, church members, sorority and fraternity brothers and sisters, club members, even folks you don't like, neighbors, tell them that they need to like, share, and subscribe to the Geno Jones YouTube channel and watch my show Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. I do it live, right here, live, and then you can go back if you miss it. You can go back and watch it at your convenience. You can go back and binge watch all my episodes. Shout out to Shawn Robinson. Shawn Robinson, she was the host for Access Hollywood for 16 years. You also know her as the host of the 90 Day Fiancé. She, along with Reverend T.D. Jakes, they were the executive co-producers of the Lifetime movie special that starred Carrie Hilson and Tank. It was on Saturday night, Saturday that just passed, April 10th, Lust. Man, boy, it was hot. Great job to Shawn Robinson. Man, I'm so proud of you, my sister. Shout out to Reverend T.D. Jakes, doing your thing. Yeah, even the good Reverend got a little message in there. Yeah, he wove a little message in there, but boy. Man, I know they had to throw some holy water on that set because it was hot, on fire. And this Saturday, they have their second. That's Shawn Robinson and Reverend T.D. Jakes. They executive produced 2 episodes. Second episode, apparently there's a series of books, The 7 Deadly Sins, and so they did like the screenplay. So the second movie that Shawn Robinson and Reverend Jakes executive produced, coming on this Saturday, the 17th of April, is called Envy. So make sure you check that out. Once again, a shout out and thank you to all my new subscribers. please, and share this with everybody. Help a brother out. I got a goal. I want to get 100,000 new subscribers by the end of the year. And if you'd like to be a sponsor, this is important. If you'd like to be a sponsor of my show, if you'd like to advertise, if you would like for me to be your pitch man, I'm the king, not the king. I'm the king of pitch man. Reach out to me, Geno Jones Show. That's how you spell Geno. Geno Jones Show, right here. Actually, Geno Jones Show at Gmail, or you can leave me a message right here at my YouTube channel. All right, everybody. I want to thank you for watching. I love you. I really do. Thank you so much for your support. Mother, I love you. I know you're watching. Everybody have a great evening. Tomorrow, it'll be I've got my second COVID-19 vaccine edition of the Geno Jones Show, live with Dr. Damon Arnold, once again, as my guest, public health and infectious disease expert, to dispel all the lies, the myths, and the rumors, and the misinformation and miseducation about this COVID-19 vaccine. This is a really important show. So make sure you watch it, and especially if you or someone you know is still afraid or hesitant to get this vaccine, you must watch this episode, okay? Because it could save your life. Getting this COVID-19 vaccine could save your life, or save the life of someone that you love. Because you could come down with the virus, you could be asymptomatic, which means you could have no symptoms at all, or mildly symptomatic, where it maybe feels like allergies or cold, and not get very sick. But you could shed it and spread it. You could shed it and spread it to somebody else whose immune system is more compromised than yours, and it could be deadly, and it could kill somebody that you really love. Or just somebody, a total stranger. You want that on your conscience? Would you be okay with living with that? I didn't think so. Tune in tomorrow, 6:30, live right here, The Geno Jones Show. Until then, be blessed. Once again, thanks for watching. Have a good evening, or whatever time you're watching.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of The Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.